Welcome to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast, where trauma survivors become healthy thrivers. Each month will feature a theme in the trauma recovery and empowerment field. To promote your recovery, healing, and learning how to build dreams, here's your host, Karen Robinson, transformational coach and therapist.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the Heal, Thrive, Dream podcast. Today, our guest is Dora Spectacular. Dora Spectacular is a fashionista and personality who was born in Pittsburgh and raised in Dallas. Dora dreams, eats, sleeps, lives and breathes fashion, and loves to wear it. At a young age, Dora realized she wasn't cut out to be the scientist like her parents who sent people to other planets. She was already living on another planet. Growing up, Dora's dad showed favoritism toward her two brothers, which left her feeling belittled. She became a recluse, hiding behind the walls she created, not realizing at this time that many other people around the world were in a similar, discouraging predicament. So, Dora, I'm going to stop there. I know your bio is a lot longer, but I don't want to be the one talking the whole time during the show. So, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. I'm thrilled, of course, to be here. And you're beautiful. And hello, beautiful audience. You're spectacular, too.
That's so sweet. What in the bio did I not hit upon that you think it's really important for people to know?
I think what really has motivated me to go into wellness and bring comedy to it is that my journey has been very painful, but I've gotten a lot of healing. And I had to find my heavenly source, of course, first. But there's so many, facets of healing. You know, we peel and cry. Some of us have to work harder than others, but it's really worth the journey. And when you go after healing, you actually become better. You can become a better version of yourself. It's kind of like most of us were born with issues. We're not born all, great and everything, and things that happen sometimes bring out our problems or make them worse. And we can look at obstacles and difficult occurrences, as hard as they are to get over as opportunities to become the person that we're meant to be.
That's right.
I used to interview at events. I interviewed at fashion events. I was a zany character with glasses and gloves. Excuse me. And thank you. It was so fun. There's been this zany part of me that came out after I got healing, and I've toned it down now for other projects. But that quirkiness is a big part of me, and I love it. And making people laugh and having fun it's the best. And laughter, they say, is the best medicine.
I agree with that a lot. Yeah. Before we get into laughter and your healing journey, is there any piece, and you can say no, about the pain that you went through that you feel moved to share with the audience because they'll identify with you more if there's something that you're willing to share?
Yes. We put out a little clip on Instagram a couple days ago. We put it out on Thursday, and I had done a talk at a summit. It's just a very small piece, and it was a very casual summit. And I talked about a moment where I saw my family take a walk without me. I was just a toddler, and it really affected me for my life. I mean, now I'm gotten healing, but so this is just an example of something that could happen. When I saw them walk off, I told myself, and that's the key, I told myself that something was wrong with me. And I told myself that I was an outcast. So the rest, I was traumatized, and I was telling myself these things, and we're hit when we're in a difficult situation. And what you tell yourself is what sticks with you. It's been proven in neuroplasticity. Dr. Amen of the Amen Clinics has done that research. So I had to recognize that and, forgive my parents. There were other things that happened too. They were Asian. They knew rice cookers, math equations, and they didn't have Dr. Laura. They didn't have child psychology videos. They didn't have fun. So it's kind of like I grew up in a very strict Asian household. I did a little funny piece. It's on another video, but can I show you what my father was like? Okay, this is my dad. Dora, why have you not eaten egg fried rice, watched your brother, and composed a molecular equation? Okay. And I'd be like, Dad, I'm like, do something fun. And he'd be like, no, you have to, compose the equation, or you must so-and-so. It led to me having a lot of problems. And, my parents, of course, we know that our parents, they just do their best, but it's not always what we think or what would be considered, great parenting. And it left me with a lot of problems, and I was very angry. And it took some time to unwrap that, and my life had to kind of fall apart first. But out of that came freedom and purpose. And I've been going through a rough journey just this last month. But, once you start going through roughness and you get out of it, the next time it's still going to hit you hard, but it's going to be a little easier to get out of.
You have
Because
faith in
you
yourself,
recognize,
like you can get through it. Yeah.
yeah, you have faith, but you recognize the traps that you can fall into, the doubt, the depression, all that stuff. You recognize that, and to go the other way, hopefully. Yeah.
So with having the childhood that you had, did you feel like you had to reparent yourself? Did you have to do some inner child healing? And if so, what did that look like?
That involved some counseling, some of my own introspection, and some ministry. And I kind of found that there would be people that came into my life that would trigger like what my parents did. We get triggered a lot. When your buttons get pushed,
Mhm.
it's because it triggers something in you. And for example, I remember I was working with someone, we were on a project, and she was Asian, and she caused the project to go down. And I realized that there were a lot that I had kind of reaped a person who represented in some ways, but she hid it, the things that I didn't like about my parents. There were, and so I had to forgive my parents and then recognize, what did I believe about myself that was wrong because of what happened with my parents. Does that make sense? It's not just forgiving, but you have to go back and change those lies that you believe about yourself. And we make those lies like that. So that's the project that we're working on now. We've had a project in Los Angeles. There's going to be some shuffling, but it's comedy, but it's also the fact that we're dealing with these initial reactions that we as children make. And back to the inner child, yes, you have to kind of go back and look at your inner child. But I do want to say that I have a friend who's older than I am, and she's gone through a lot of change, and she is doing so well. We talked about it, and as the older she gets now, the more like a child she becomes. She's so much fun now, and she didn't used to be that way. But it's like when you get in touch and get that healing, your inner child comes out.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. And how has your inner child come out? Like how is that impacting your work?
Well, for the years that I spent interviewing, it enabled me to just be a kook because I interviewed at New York Fashion Week about 4 or 5 times, and then I did the Paris Haute Couture. And it, I mean, I look back, there's certain things that happened that I thought, oh my gosh, I could have done this. Like at one Paris show, I had to walk the runway to go to the restroom. It was a very elite Paris Haute Couture show. I had to walk the runway to go to the bathroom. And I'm like, oh, I could have done all these fun things going down there. But I still had fun, and people, we did funny things. We did funny, we made jokes. There was one great thing. I did this in New York where I figured out pretty quickly that celebrities felt awkward when I put them in front of the camera and I said, I was in front of the camera. I said, join me and we're going to clap for you. And I noticed that they just felt awkward. So I made them come in. I made them stand and I ran in and they would clap for me. Yeah. Yeah. And they got it. Like I'll never forget some of them, the looks they had in their face, because they knew that they were the celebrity. And I was just, trying to get some airtime with them or whatever. And it was just so much fun. Like, it's a little absurd. Like absurd comedy is the best. And I have studied improv. And that's one thing I have to tell you, that improvisational comedy, it's like what you see on Saturday Night Live. That kind of comedy. Well, I've worked with people, I actually worked with a guy that's on Saturday Night Live. He's a writer. He'll be on it. He's an amazing actor too. And I work with some of these people that here in Dallas at 4-Day Weekend and then in LA at the Groundlings, there's just a whole nother avenue to go. And improvisational humor has been very healing. It teaches you to just have, like you said, faith in yourself, because you learn to react according to what you have, and you're not trying to be funny. But when it ends up being funny, it's great. And there are certain tools. There are certain, tech things that you do. Let me try something with you. I'm not going to promise anything great, but give me a sentence about yourself.
I love sushi and could eat it every meal.
Okay. So, just a second. Hold just a second.
I also love books and I love traveling.
Okay. All right. Okay. So okay, hold on. Let me just try this. Okay. Hold on. Just give me another minute because I'm trying to build something. Just a second. Okay. So whereas most people would rather go off to the islands to get a tan, Karen's ideal trip would be eating sushi and traveling through Japan. Okay.
Cute.
Okay, thank you. Give me a little bit more time and I could have come up with something else, but I'm relatively whatever. But what's so great is that there's a musical comedy where I could have made a song about it. The chorus would have been Karen in Japan, and then we would have sung about you eating sushi and reading Japanese and everything. So you see how it goes. It's fun, isn't it?
Oh, it's so fun. It's so fun. Like,
yeah.
I have a friend, Aline, who does some improv classes. So I've joined in a couple of her virtual, and it's just so fun.
Oh, that is awesome. Is that in Alexandria?
No, just virtually. She lives in New Jersey.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, she's close to New York then. And I know they have some great improv up there.
Yes.
Yeah.
She's done improv on stage, yeah.
Yes. Oh, isn't she a fun person?
Oh, she's so great.
Yeah.
She's been on this podcast too before.
Pardon?
She's been on this podcast too before.
Oh, wow. Oh my gosh. We should all come in sometime.
That would be fun. Be careful what you wish for.
Okay, it may happen.
Yeah. No, I think improv is fun. I think how you do fashion, being quirky, that's so fun. It's like, like after you've gone through challenges, it's really important to look at like, okay, what could I do to make my life a little brighter, a little more hopeful? And also, like your work probably inspires a lot of other people, especially, younger people. Would you say that's true?
I would say that my target market, the people that follow me, have always been younger than I am. I'm older than 45, and my most of the people that follow me are 25 to 45. And when I started blogging fashion 10 years ago, it was 25 to 35. But now they've, kind of grown up a little bit. Yeah, I think it's just the kookiness. And you want to talk about fashion for a minute? Because
Sure,
that's
sure.
something that women, we all love fashion. It's a pretty well known fact that when times get rough, men go, like, let's just say fishing, and women go fishing for something to wear. It's, it can be a challenge for your credit cards, but I love making things over. And I would say that I've spent a great deal of my life at the alterations place. I always find someone great. And I've gone through a couple people, they've retired or just, moved on or other things, place closed. And it's so fun to make over an outfit. So it's great to like shop your closet and go through, and you can take a dress and you can like maybe take the sleeves off and make an extra hem, or you could take the hem off and make sleeves. There's so many, you can add trim, you can make the dress more polished, especially if it's a beautiful piece. So I strongly believe that most women want to look beautiful. And there is something about how fashion can bring out a part of you that you didn't know you had. I do want to say that I love a few designers. And when I started interviewing, I kind of stocked up on their stuff. I got it on resale, I got it on sale, and I just had it altered to fit me. A couple brands like Simone Rocha. And wearing it back then made me feel really special. And now I don't have to wear it to feel special. It became of it became a part of my fashion sense.
You internalize the feeling.
I
It was
internalized the
it
feeling.
was external, then you turned it internal with your wisdom.
Yeah. Yeah. And it became a part of, of me. And moving forward, I may not wear all those designer pieces anymore that I had from that designer. I've kind of outgrown some of them, but I still can integrate that whole look or some of the pieces just to bring back a little bit, but I don't need that whole thing anymore. And then she actually did a collaboration with H&M about 2 or 3 years ago, and a lot of her stuff became very mainstream, but it was very special before that. Not a lot of people knew about her before she did that H&M, but she's a very accomplished designer in London. She's, won many awards, and her stuff gets a lot of attention now. But back then it was like, there's this like, she makes me feel like so like, I think it just made me feel it was it was kind of bad girl, good girl, sweet girl, that kind of a whole thing. A little bit of grunge, but a lot of like flounce and tulle. And she's really good. Yeah. But fashion is
Yes.
something that, mhm, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think you're the first person that has said to me, I've been a trauma therapist for 25 years. You're the first
Mhm.
person that's mentioned fashion as healing.
I would say it
Oh,
is. And yes, it can be very healing because that old saying, when you look good, you feel good.
mhm.
And it's really true how just spending a little bit of time to find out what works for you. I don't I'm a big proponent of shopping thrift and resale. Just be sure what you walk home with is clean. You never know now. So I usually dunk stuff in like a disinfectant wash, or I put it in my washer right away, or I take it to dry cleaners, which I don't like to do the dry cleaners that much. I go to a green one. I pay more, but it's green, and because dry cleaning can ruin your clothes very easily. So it's like this jacket. I got this at 40% off on a resale site, and it makes me feel like it just. I've worn it when I've needed to feel confident. Like I wore it to a thing a couple months ago this summer. I've worn it just a few times, but when I put it on, it makes me feel confident. And there was a wonderful designer. I'm trying to think if he's still, I don't know if he's passed or not. I'm so embarrassed. Albert Albez. He designed for Lawn Fawn many, many years ago. We're talking like decades ago. And he would talk about how his clients would wear his dresses to divorce court because they knew they had to fight and they wanted to look powerful. They wanted to feel powerful. Clothes can give you something. They really can. And as Misha Prada says, it's like fashion is instant knowledge. Like it's instant. Like you can look at someone and, if I see someone and they're dressed a certain way, I pick up certain things about them. I can, you know? But I
So
think
what would
it's
you
that self-language trait. Mhm.
what would you say to someone who's listening and maybe they're kind of struggling with depression? They left a situation where there was domestic violence or they had a recent sexual assault. What would you say to them about what to do with their fashion that might help them to feel just a little bit better? Like, obviously, it's not going to make everything go away, but what would
No,
maybe help them feel a little bit better?
I think for them to recognize that taking care of themselves, that they could put themselves first, not first over a child, or and like that. I'm not talking about that, but I'm talking about looking at themselves and recognizing that they're worthy of spending time on themselves, and that if they like to shop, they could go to the local resale store or go online and go to the thrift store and maybe find a few pieces that make them feel good about themselves.
That's okay to do that for themselves. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, yes, it's so important. Like, a touch, like, I know that there are a lot of women that really overdo it on the makeup, and then I know people that don't. And I had to introduce somebody a couple weeks ago at a business meeting, and she doesn't ever wear makeup. So when she shut up, I brought a new lipstick, and I said, "Hold on," and I put some color in her cheeks, and then gave her some lips. She looked so much better. She just looked more polished because I was going to introduce her to someone to help do videos for them, and I'm like, she can't. I mean, you want to present yourself, and just that little touch. Whether you touch up, like I usually do my eyebrows, I brush them, and I add some brow mascara. And, for you today, I'm putting my lashes on. And, but I don't usually, do very much. I usually just do my brows and that's enough. And I protect my skin. But, just those little extra things can go a long way. And, when you go to that place or when you're online, I mean, don't be discouraged. Find stuff that isn't expensive, maybe play around, find out, give yourself a certain budget, get something maybe once a week, once a month, whatever your budget is, once every 2 months, and get a few pieces and things that you can experiment with and say, hey, I'm going to wear this when I go on my meeting, because it's going to give me an extra boost. And all those little things really help when you're a woman. We're just made to care about that stuff. We're made to want to feel beautiful. It's even in the Bible about the wise woman making fine cloth for her clothes. You know, a little bit of fashion goes a long way. Yes. Treat yourself a little bit. Be good to yourself. You know,
Yeah. So what is what is it that you're working on right now that people that feel inspired by listening to you, what is it that they could look forward to? Are you able to give us anything or is it too soon?
Well, it is. I do want to say we've had a project in Los Angeles. We're going to have to do some shuffling, but I would say that if you want to follow me on Instagram at Dora Spectacular, and you're spectacular too, but it's Dora Spectacular, Dora like Dora the Explorer.
Mm-hmm.
And we may be a little quiet for a while, but we're going to be, I usually post fashion pics, and there should be 2 projects coming up. And one of them is we are writing a one-woman show right now that I'm going to do that's going to talk and combine narrative and laughter and wellness. Plus, we have a show for TV, which is going to be more laughter focused, but also wellness.
Hey, will you keep us updated so we can add it to the show notes?
Oh, definitely,
Like,
definitely.
relay something like that. Yes.
For you. Yes, I have.
That sounds so fun.
Thank you. I am positive, Karen, that I will have some updates. Yes, yes. Thank you so much.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, Dora, thank you so much for being on our show today. We often have like therapists and coaches and hypnotists and pastors. So it's so nice to have someone, that's in a different field altogether, and made it more fun. And trauma impacts, I believe, all women and often men too. Yeah.
There is no one that is immune from it. It's a world that we live in. But it's just remember to, address those reactions that you have to it. Recognize that you're getting some hard messages when you're going through trauma. Your self-talk is going to be much more negative, and you have to really filter that because it really steps up the trauma. Yeah.
It really does.
Would you agree? Yeah.
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah. And get a new dress.
Get a new
for 80 off. And laugh,
We go to Dora's comedy show.
Yeah, watch my comedy show. May I tell you about my comedy show? Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Dora, for being on today. We really appreciate you.
Thank you, and you're beautiful. Thank beautiful you, and thank your beautiful audience. And y'all are spectacular. Don't forget, okay? You are spectacular.
Thank you for listening in today. Please join us next week, same day and time. Also, I would love for you to check out my website, healthrivedream.com.